This is a time of the year for boiled peanuts. This time of the year, we're always able to get fresh green peanuts, meaning they just come out of the ground, they've just been harvested, they're still green. And those are the very best for boiling because one thing, they take only a fraction of the time to cook, and also they just have so much better flavor. Anything fresh is always better than anything dry. So don't confuse this with raw peanuts. If you see a bag of peanuts, whether it be a big bag, small bag, whatever, if it says raw, that means it's a dry peanut. It's went through a drying process. Think of your beans like you get in your supermarket in the bags. That's what those are. And they can be boiled, but they take forever. We're talking anywhere from 10 hours to 24 hours. I've seen some people go 2 whole days trying to get those tender. Green peanuts, the most we're going to boil these today is probably 2.5 to 3 hours tops. Then we're going to let them soak for about another 3 hours, and they're going to be excellent. Let me show you how I do it. Some of you might remember this pot. This is a high performance 120 quart boiling pot. Now this is what I typically use for my crawfish and shrimp. And this plate you see here on this is actually a steaming plate like you would steam blue crabs with. Well, today I'm going to do something a little different. I'm putting the peanuts up underneath this plate here. Then the rods that sits on actually go on top of it, only to keep the peanuts from floating. That's the worst thing about peanuts, is they will try to float. Matter of fact, this whole basket will probably try to float. So once I get this cover on here, I might have to weight it down with something to keep this basket down. All right, so I removed the plate. Let's pour the peanuts in. Now, if you live down here in the South, and for those that don't know, I'm in South Mississippi, you'll find these peanuts at roadside stands, the produce stands. They'll have green peanuts on the label. Now, these actually come from Walmart. Every August, they start showing up, and they'll sell these all the way up to like sometime in October. But you can see all the condensation on that bag. These just come out of the ground just recently. So we're going to pour these in. I got a total of 10 pounds. This is only half of them. All right, get out of there, peanut. We don't want to miss any of you guys. Now, you can buy these in like 30, 40 pound bags. I'm only doing 10 pounds because it's just me and my wife. My sons will probably come by here and get some. But that's a total of 10 pounds. Gonna take this lid. We're just gonna drop it down on top of them. Then I'm gonna come up here probably maybe 3 inches and put these 2 rods in here. That's to stop that lid from coming up once they go to floating. Now there are a couple of holes right here. 1 or 2 might pop out of. We just gotta deal with that. All right, so I wanna take this and set it down inside the pot here. I'm gonna go ahead and get some water over this, and I wanna cover this probably by 3 inches. See just how much water it's gonna take. I'm gonna do it 1 gallon at a time to where I know exactly how much seasoning to put in this. See what I'm saying? This is actually floating. This was about 3 inches below there, as you can see. All right, so we got a few escapees here. Now, years ago, I did a video and I actually had a peanut cover that was made for this, and it was a solid piece. I think it had a few small holes, but this is going to work out just fine. Just use this steaming cover here to do our boiled peanuts. All right, so what I want to do now is go ahead and pull this basket out. Let all this water drain out. So I'm using knee-deep blends Cajun seafood boil, shrimp, crabs, crawfish. I think he needs to add peanuts to this on his label there. So my rule of thumb as far as how much is 1 pound of this for every 2 gallons of water. This is 4 pounds exactly. 8 gallons of water. It's going to take the entire bag. So I'm going to show you, but I'm going to go ahead and get this up to a boil, then we're going to pour it in. I just fired it off. I want to go ahead and get this thing up to a really rapid heat to where we can get this boiling pretty quick. That literally took 5 minutes to get to a boil. 5 minutes. You can see the steam coming off. Look at that. Look at that boil. Look. Man, she's rolling. So I'm gonna go ahead and cut this down some. All right, I cut that way back. And look at there, still maintaining a boil. I blast it like that just to get it up to a boil fast. Then I choke back on it. I'm talking about for peanuts. For crawfish boil, it's wide open for the whole 3 minutes they're cooking. But for peanuts, we just want a good boil, low, because we got to boil for like 3 hours. I don't want to suck all my propane out. Just throw all that in there, every last drop. Now, I like my peanuts spicy. That's going to give it great flavor. But to give it even more spice, I've got some Thai chili flake here. Now, you can add that or not add that. I'm probably going in with about a half a cup. Who's measuring? Not me. Back in with the peanuts. Let these sink. Put a lid on it. All right, we're just gonna let it rip for about the next 3 hours. Now, one thing you will need to do, you can't just let these boil for 2 hours or 3 hours, and sometimes it might take 4 hours. But one thing you've got to do is keep a check on that water about every 30 minutes, because it's going to evaporate. It's going to come out from underneath that lid, and you got to add that water back. If not, it's going to concentrate them flavors, and it's going to be really spicy, could be too salty, and the amount of seasoning in there is for 8 gallons of water, so you need to try to maintain that 8 gallons of water all the way through. All right, I've been running around 3 hours at a constant boil, and I'm gonna go ahead and cut the fire off. I just tried a few of these, and they're like an al dente, almost tender, but not quite. Keep in mind, they got to soak in this hot water for 3 more hours. Do not take the lid off for any reason. So let me go ahead and cut the fire off. Go ahead and valve it off here. Now that lid that you see me start with, I end up taking that out completely because it didn't work out. It ended up flipping up on one end, a lot of peanuts come out, so I just removed it all together. And trust me, you don't have to have a lid. If you got it, great, but you don't have to have it. We boiled peanuts all my life without lids. In 3 hours, I'm going to show you these peanuts and show you all the juice that soaks into these, and they should be extremely tender and delicious. Thought I would check in and let you know where I'm at. All right, I have been soaking for 2 hours. 2 hours, got 1 hour to go. Now, I just took a few and tried them, and man, they're real close. 1 more hour is going to finish these off. But so you know, different people like these different ways, the texture on them. I like it tender. I don't like no raw taste in it, but I don't like them mushy. If you tend to like them a little bit softer and mushier, then you can just go an extra hour of boiling time. Matter of fact, you can do what I did, go 3 hours boiling, 3 hours soaking, and try them. If they're not quite to your standard, then fire it up, let them boil another hour, 45 minutes, whatever. These have already sunk, which means they're all full of juice. And so really all you got to do is just apply more heat to them. But these are going to be perfect. I know they are. And also, for all these people that love to skip through a video, you might have missed it at the beginning that these are green peanuts, which mean they're freshly harvested. They freshly come out of the ground not long ago, like days ago. So if you missed that, it's an important thing because this method will not work with what they call raw peanuts or dry peanuts. It's not going to work. That takes a very long time, 24 to 36 hours of boil time. Been 3 hours exactly. Let me show you the inside of some of these. Let me show you how that juice gets up in here. Gets up in these. Well, you can already see it. Look at it coming out of my hands right there. Just as juicy as they can be. Texture is perfect. If there is such a thing as peanut perfection, this is it. Nice spice. The salt level is perfect. Look at all that juice in there. That flavor is so good. And the more you eat, the more it's going to catch up to you. Ooh boy, spicy good. I tell you what, cold beer and boiled peanuts, I like them hot and I like them cold. Now what I'll do from here is I will transfer, hang on, I will transfer all the peanuts out of this big pot and go into smaller pots, and I'm gonna put lids on them, let them go in the house and sit there and just continue to soak until I can actually handle them. Right now, this water 3 hours later is piping hot, and I can't really work with them, but from there they'll go into individual 1 gallon Ziploc bags, and I've got a big old ladle that I'll put some of the juice over in, and I'll just store them in the refrigerator until we're ready to eat them. Now these can also be frozen. I personally rather buy smaller batches and not freeze them, eat them while they're fresh, and they will last up to a week in the fridge. You could always reheat these in a crock pot. Just reserve your juice and pour it back in your crock pot and just get them warm. That's all you got to do. I like them cold too. Doesn't matter to me. Well, thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you give these peanuts a try if you've never had them. I'm Russ Jones with Smoky Ribs Barbecue.